Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Sunday Summary. I'm your host, Kyle. With me is Steve. We got a sad show today, Steve. The news broke earlier this week that Jurgen Klopp is decided to leave Liverpool at the end of the season. And I think everyone in the world was caught off guard by it. I think that Jurgen Klopp has kind of been sitting on this decision for a while. For me, it doesn't really make much sense considering he extended his contract to 2026. There were rumors last month of him even trying to extend it past that. And I had the whole day to think about it before making my video. So I won't get into me because I've already put my video out there. I want your reaction, Steve, to the news, and take as much time as you need.
I don't know how long-winded this will be. And good morning to everyone who's joining us currently. How many people we have in here right now?
11 people right now. Supreme Architect, Imperious Groover, Hannah's in here, Liz, my mom, Dermot, Oyvind, Yo Cool. Good morning to everyone. Shout out to you guys. Thanks for the support.
Well,
Steve,
I'm gonna let you guess first who I saw the news from. There's only one man.
is it Fabrizio?
It is, yeah. So I
Right.
woke up early, 5 a.m. maybe. Pulled
Jesus.
up pulled up my phone. Fabrizio Romano, there he is. Jurgen Klopp is leaving Liverpool, and my initial thought was, oh crap. I thought it was a mid-season change. I thought he was leaving effective immediately.
Oh,
So I started to panic, and then I'm researching, and then it's, you see everything about the end of the season. Um, my initial thoughts were, shit, it's over. Like this,
just like
us
that.
us being on this perch is coming to an end. And I still kind of feel that way. Obviously, we have great players, we have great quality. Liverpool's a big club, and players will want to come. But I'm thinking to myself, you look at all the managers out there. The first three names that came to mind for me, immediately what I started thinking was, who's next? So the
Say it.
first,
Say
what?
it. Say it.
Zidane,
Okay.
Pep Linders,
Yes, that was my first thought.
and Xabi Alonso.
Bingo. Yep.
So that's the short list. I put that in our Discord group right away. Again, this was early morning. I think everyone kind of agreed with me on that. Um, but then I started reading into it, and I almost respect the decision. The timing, sure, you can nitpick the timing of it. You can ask questions, why now, right? The rumors of the extension you mentioned from last month, and that now that obviously seems to be something that was that just a rumor and not true whatsoever. Um, but if the man is out of energy, then I think it's within he doesn't owe us anything is what I'm getting at. So for him to come out and be honest about the situation, again, the timing is a little bit weird, but like, would it be better if he waited until the end of the season and dropped this on us? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question, but I will say he doesn't owe us anything. He's given us everything that he has, and if he decides that he can't give 100% and he knows the club deserves that, then I think it's okay that he's leaving. But heartbroken to say the least.
I like the point you touched on where if he knows that he can't give the club 100%, then he knows he should leave. I like that point because really what he touched on was the reason he was leaving was the energy factor, which I thought was a weird point when I first heard the video, saying that, I don't have the energy anymore. Right now I'm good, but I don't have the energy anymore. And I think he pushed himself past his limits for the club, Steve, because when you look at what he did tenure-wise at Mainz and Dortmund, he only stayed there for 7 years, right? It was almost the same exact timeline for each club. Once he broke that threshold here, I'm like, okay, I think this guy's going to pull a, Sir Alex Ferguson or uh Jesus, what's the Arsenal dude's name? It's early.
Wenger.
Thank you. Jesus. Well, I'm terrible in terms of like how long they're going to be here. But I think now coming up on Jesus, he's been here for 9 years almost, right? Almost 9 years. So eight, we'll call it 8.5. I think he's really pushed his limits, and I think Jurgen Klopp, I think he made the right decision. So I wanted to touch on that point you made, but also the rumor that I saw was the reason he announced in the middle of the season rather than at the end of the season was because he knows that a lot of his backroom staff will be leaving. He knows that there's a lot of decisions to be made career-wise with those guys, whether it's going into their own managerial path or trying to negotiate other deals so they're not out of work, right? You don't want to go into it last minute. So he announced it mid-season almost selflessly to give everyone else time to figure out what they're going to do because all the backroom staff's leaving. And that brings me to the Pep Linders point. I think we were all, I wouldn't say positive, but we were all thinking, okay, Pep Linders, ever since we had that like back-to-back game where Pep Linders had to manage the team, we were all kind of thinking, Pep might be the guy, right, to succeed Klopp. Until Steven Gerrard went to Aston Villa and completely shit the bed, we all thought it might have been Gerrard, right? I don't think anyone's talking about Steven Gerrard becoming the next Liverpool manager anymore after that. I think the next logical one would be Xabi Alonso. And given that Pep Linders has come out and said he wants to pursue his own managerial career elsewhere, I think we're looking at Xabi Alonso.
Well, I think it makes the most sense, but it's just like transfers, right? Like we were certain about transfers over the years. Let's just Timo Werner as an example,
Bellingham.
right? Like we felt pretty certain about some things, and they didn't go that way. So who knows what they're thinking? On paper, it makes perfect sense for Alonso to come in. He's got some clause apparently, and um, he played here, and what he's done with Leverkusen is pretty remarkable to say the least. I'm pretty sure they were in the relegation battle last year. Think
Yeah,
about how crazy that is.
it is. It's nuts.
Okay, so right now you got Luton Town relegation battle. This is just an example. Imagine they get a new manager that comes in next season and they're unbeaten after 20 some odd games, top of the league, above City and Liverpool. How insane that would be. When you put it into context like that, you realize what he's doing over there really is incredible. And the amount of goals that they've scored is absurd. I think they have the most in the top five leagues by far.
Let
I
me
could
ask
be wrong,
you.
but they have a lot of goals.
So it is astounding, right? I always give, though, a new manager the I don't make a decision until the after one season because there's the honeymoon phase, right? I feel like as soon as a new manager comes in, and this varies, it could last one game, it can last a whole season, or you have a manager that is truly talented at what he does and it lasts almost 9 years, like Jurgen Klopp. I think I haven't made a decision on Xabi Alonso yet, just because a lot of times when a new manager comes in, you see this rebirth of energy and everything, right? I feel like I'm trying to find a great example in the Premier League. And I think if you look at Steven Gerrard, for example, when he first went to Aston Villa, they did do well for probably like 5 or 10 games. And then they just fell off a cliff. So I feel like there is this grace period where you can't really make a decision on a coach because when new players are unhappy or when players are unhappy with a coach or the organization isn't, working well with the coach and then a new coach comes in, don't you think there is that period where everyone's just excited? It doesn't matter about the tactics or how well the guy manages the team. It's just like, oh, we have a new manager. Things are better now. And everyone plays better. Eddie Howe. That's a good Streams of Dreams brought it up. Eddie Howe.
I think Solskjaer had a really good start at United.
That's another good one. Yeah.
Um, but I think I said this to your father. Shout out to Scott, by the way. I put something on our Instagram and he sent a message or left a comment. And what I said was 99% of managers don't get to leave on their own terms. They get the sack. Or they hit the point in their tenure where they can see the writing on the wall and it's a mutual parting of ways or a retirement or something like that. Um, I think the silver lining in this here is we're at the top right now. Like we are still one of the best teams in the world, and if he's leaving that, then clearly he's looked at himself, and this is the right decision for him. Nobody in their right mind would leave this scenario with the players that we've got, with Virgil, with Salah. Say what you want about contracts, but whatever. We have a top five player, arguably at every position on this planet.
Yeah.
So I think to me that just shows that, this was a well thought out decision and things change. People talk about, well, you were talking about an extension or you just extended or whatever the case may be. He's only human. And what he said in one of his interviews was, we make an agreement at the beginning of every season that players and managers will be there for that 1 year, regardless of if it's a 5 or 6 year contract. We come together and the I guess the verbal agreement is that we're in this together for this season. Let's focus on this season, and whatever happens afterwards happens afterwards.
Unless you're Coutinho, scum.
Right, right. So, but in any event, he's leaving on his own terms, which I think is nice for him. It's the only way I'd want to see it,
Yeah.
because the other end of that is we're in awful shape and he gets the sack. But I remember thinking to myself last year, somebody earlier in the chat said he looked beat after last season, something like that. I remember thinking last year, like, how long can somebody put up with this? Last season was that frustrating where I thought Klopp was going to say, you know what, I'm stepping down. Almost like Hernandez is doing at Barca.
Well, shit, we were seeing people say that he should be sacked.
Yep. Yep. Um, so I don't know where I was going with that, but yeah, it's I'm still digesting the news, honestly. I think Alonso makes sense. Zidane doesn't really make much sense because of the language barrier. I don't think that would work. But who knows? I'd take him. And Linders is gone, so he's off the
Yeah.
table. There are a bunch of other names out there. You probably see some here in the chat. I've heard Mourinho floated around. Like, obviously not.
No chance.
There's Nagelsmann. There's De Zerbi. Um,
I think Xabi Alonso makes the most sense at this point in time.
for us, for our club, it makes perfect sense because he hasn't gone many places and been sacked. He hasn't been at huge clubs.
But the
We don't want a journeyman.
but the flip side of that coin is the fact that he just started managing, right? How are you going to I keep thinking of Steven Gerrard. Look how well he did at Rangers, right? Did so well at Rangers. Comes to Aston Villa, shits the bed. I wouldn't say shits the bed. He just didn't do well. There's a different requirement when you're managing in the Premier League versus the Bundesliga. I just don't know. I just don't want to get my hopes up that Xabi Alonso is like this amazing manager, right? He's doing extremely well, and it's not easy to do that when you're a new manager. But to come from Bayern Leverkusen and come over to Liverpool and take and succeed Klopp, I mean, dude, you got your work cut out for you regardless. Even if you didn't have Jurgen Klopp there, to succeed Liverpool or Jurgen Klopp, that's going to be a tall ask. A tall ask. One thing he's got going for him is he's super handsome. I will say that. So there you go. Hell of a guy.
I mean,
Streams of Dream says it's early for Chabi. That's my only concern, bro. It's so early in his managerial career. Don't you want someone? And I'm going to ask you this directly. Don't you want someone that's more tenured and more experienced versus someone who's having a really, really hot season? First season. It's his first season as a manager, correct?
mm,
I think it's his first season. I could be wrong.
I don't think so. Either way, my answer to that is no, because I think the way our club is, we're not like the other clubs that ships managers in and out.
Right.
So, and again, I don't want someone that has left their footprint on other big clubs necessarily. Like, I want something like fresh and clean that's ours. Um, Now, that said, the Bundesliga, Klopp came from the Bundesliga.
Sure.
Didn't Pep coach in the Bundesliga? Right? Like, and look, this isn't a decision that they're going to make lightly. They'll do their research. They'll have multiple interviews with multiple people. They'll ask, third parties about Alonso, things like that. And I think it's different because he played here.
Very different.
It's not a random player that's having a good season as a manager early in his career. He played here. He loves it here. There's quotes from him popping out now from the past about how Liverpool felt like home,
Mm-hmm.
and he played for Real Madrid. So
I think
That's my thoughts on it.
no. Yeah, I love your thoughts, Steve. I love you sharing your thoughts. My only concern with Xabi is his experience. That's it. But I think who said it? Someone put it in perfectly here. Was Aaron said we need a new manager, not an old-fashioned one. I think the way, and I think that's a great take because Klopp's criticism that has been few and far between over his tenure at Liverpool has been he's a little stubborn in how he approaches things. The last 2 seasons, I think Klopp has been able to adapt to the times, and he hasn't stuck with his same old style of just pressing, counter pressing, right? Heavy metal football. Like we play much different now. So credit to Klopp for that. And as a result, you look at how well we're playing this season. We are a force this season. Now that's probably down to personnel as well, just a revamp in the team. But then that leads me into my second point, the fact that this team is so young. You got a lot of youth in the team who will look at a player like Xabi and be like, "Ooh, he's a legend," and show some respect for him. And I think that's a good thing. I think it would be much different if we still had Henderson, Milner, and those kinds of players in the team. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I mean, look, if it's going to happen, here's the thing. I don't know when they'll appoint the new manager or like when they'll let us know. I suppose that's a decision or an announcement for after the season. But I'd kind of like to know now. But I do think this was a chess move on Klopp's part. I don't
100%.
think the
Good one.
timing was like he woke up and said, "All right, today's the day I have to come clean." I think it's to motivate the players for the rest of the year and to leave with trophies.
Bingo.
To
Dude,
look around and say, let's rally around the end of this era and bring home as much silverware as we can. And I think it's going to help. I don't think it hurts. This season it helps. Long term, not looking good per se. But Alexa here says, to play devil's advocate, we seem confident that we know who could be the next manager when we haven't a clue. True.
very good point.
We could be blindsided and things could go bad, good team or not. And that's what I said in the beginning. Uh, it you're right. We really have no idea what's going to happen. There are so many managers out there, right? Like
There's so
so
many,
many
yeah.
freaking managers and so many that don't have a job right now that are
Hey, man,
top managers.
this economy, bro.
But look, here's the thing that I keep thinking. It's Liverpool are a different club than these other clubs. Like, could you picture us getting like a journeyman, like an
No, 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 no. That's the difference.
Ancelotti, those guys? Like, I
No.
can't really see that.
No, no, no. That's the difference. And I think that's where your point actually trumps mine in the sense that when you look at a Xabi Alonso, even though he isn't tenured and a great manager, a journeyman, he is built for Liverpool. He loves Liverpool. He embodies what it means to be a Liverpool Football Club player, right? The fans love him already. The city loves him. So that kind of player coming in and being a manager would be embraced already. And he wouldn't feel like he has anything to prove necessarily. Of course, you got to do a good job, right? It's not like you can come in here and just coast. You still have to prove and work hard, but being embraced from the jump is much different than meeting the job with resistance from fans. You know what I mean?
Well, I think the other thing to consider here is with anyone that you hire, there's a risk, right? The risk with Alonso is the inexperience. Like, is he
Absolutely.
legit? Is what everyone's going to ask themselves, and that's totally valid, and that's how I feel. But let's just take a guy like Emery, I don't know, Ancelotti, those guys that have been around to many clubs. The risk with them is we've seen them fail in this league. We've seen them get sacked.
Yep.
And also, it's not like Alonso has come in and taken over Bayern Munich or PSG, like these huge clubs with huge money, and done a pretty good job, like Nagelsmann did, right before all that stuff happened, and he ended up leaving. It's he's playing with a mid-table Bundesliga side,
A
low
mid-major.
table,
Yeah.
yeah, low table last year, and he's doing this with them, which tells me that hopefully he's got some sort of player development He's able to rally the troops towards one common goal, which is really all you can ask for. But I don't want somebody that again, I don't want somebody that has their footprints all over other big clubs. I don't want just another guy because it won't last that way. It's not going to work, in my opinion. And like some of these guys are already older. Like if Xabi works out, he could be here for 15 years. Now that's just wishful thinking,
Of
but
course.
he's young. He understands the modern game. He played not too long ago. So I I would love to see it, but Alexi, you're right. We have no idea what's going on and what's going to happen. And every year there's uncertainty. And this year it's the manager. The one thing we thought we didn't have to worry about, here we are worrying about it. Last year it was, are we going to finish top four? Who's going to be fit? Are players going to want to come here? Is Salah going to
Right.
leave? Right? Um, Klopp was the last thing I was worried about on the 26th of January.
I'm more upset about Jurgen Klopp leaving than I think I was about Bobby Firmino leaving. And I don't say that to be like, "Oh, I'm, this is I'm pitting two legends against each other." It's just this is a big loss for the club. But in that, one door closes, another opens. Who knows the next manager what they can accomplish at the club, especially with this brings me to a great quote. I remember when Klopp was doing an interview, I want to say it was maybe 3 years ago. And he had mentioned that when I do decide to leave, he will always leave the club in a better condition than when he arrived. Like he'll never leave on a down slope. I think maybe that's why he decided right now because of how great the team is doing. He could have decided last year, but we weren't doing that well last year. Like mid-season, we were losing a bunch of games. People were saying, "Oh, should Klopp be sacked?" That kind of thing. I think he's making the right decision.
I couldn't agree more. He also said, for so long I haven't lived a normal life. Like he gets a few weeks off, a handful of weeks off in the summer.
Yeah,
But like it says a lot about a person and the honesty that they have within themselves and the type of man that he is to look in the mirror and say, I can't give my all anymore. I have the money, I have the fame. I'm at arguably the biggest club in English history. To step away from that is it just shows that he's here for the right reasons. He's not here for the fame and the money and those sorts of things. He doesn't care about what other people think. He's here for the right reasons to do a job and to do a great job and to be honest with himself and the fan base and the club in general. So, with that said, I think it's the right decision for him. I understand the timing because I think he's trying to rally the troops. And it also gives us a chance to enjoy him while we have him for these next 4 months.
God, it's going to be an insane 4 months, dude. And that kind of leads me into this right here, which is there's only one thing left to do, right? And if you guys have seen this movie, you know.
Win the whole fucking thing. Win the whole fucking thing.
That's the only thing that's left to do. All right? Legendary movie, by the way. Do you have anything else to say about it, Steve?
I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about it every week until the season
Every
ends. This
week,
isn't a
dude.
Klopp farewell show. As it draws more near, we'll give him his flowers. But I think it's bittersweet. Like I'm not mad. I'm a little upset because I'm uncertain about the future, but um it also could be exciting at a certain point. It might get to the point where, change can be exciting sometimes. Look at this.
You're-
Look at the squad we have this year.
Oh, I know.
It's
I know.
totally been somewhat revamped. Bunch of new players in.
I
Gomez
love that.
resurgence. It's been
I,
exciting.
I love change. I do. It's not. I think I'm not scared. I'm really not scared of what's next. Right. I think we've gotten so used to Jurgen Klopp and everyone adores him. He's just such a once in a lifetime type manager. You're never going to have anyone like Jurgen Klopp again at your club, right? You can have managers that are just as successful or maybe even more successful, but you're never going to have a man like Jurgen Klopp. Jurgen just gets it, dude. He gets the fans, he gets the players, and he's just charismatic. I'll listen to Jurgen talk any day of the week, man. Aylor says Carlo Ancelotti, 64 years old, signed a new contract with Madrid just right before Christmas. That's probably the only reason why Liverpool can approach Alonso without Real Madrid interference. Good timing. Go get him. Pick him up.
Go get him. Now's the time. But he also said Liverpool's the place that felt most like home out of all the clubs that he played for.
He did. I think he has that verbal agreement. Whatchamacallit, where it's like if Madrid or Liverpool or maybe one other club, he's like they're going to allow me to leave. And I can't remember what the other one was, but with Ancelotti signing the new deal, hey, look, we know now that new deals don't necessarily mean anything. Ancelotti could announce he's leaving tomorrow.
That's the thing with those guys, man. Like, keep that. I don't want that. The
I don't
1-year
want.
extensions, the small extensions, the rumors about him going to coach the Brazilian national team. Like, I don't need that.
I don't. Bayern. That's who it is. That's right. He played for Bayern. Jesus. Did he? He did play for Bayern. Right? Xabi did?
Yes.
Yeah. He played for Bayern. I thought he did. Okay. Raymond here says, Okay. There we go. I feel whoever comes in will only continue what is already set in motion by Klopp. And this is what I was touching on with he's going to leave the club in a better condition than when he came in. I think it would be irresponsible for Klopp to leave and us be ninth in the table. Right? He did that at Dortmund, and I think that's probably what he regrets the most. Is the fact that he didn't leave on a high. Right? He probably has a lot of regrets from that. I would. I mean, considering how much success he had at the club, you want to leave when you're on a high. You want everyone shaking your hand on the way out. Like, thank you so much, thank you. You don't really want people to be like, it's time. That's not what you want when you leave.
The other thing I've been thinking is he's going to go take a break, at least for a year, he said.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if that was 2 or 3 years. Get back to somewhat of a normal life. This is what people aren't really talking about. Is I could see if things don't go smoothly in the next year, 2 years, 3 years, I could see him back here. Like, I think the guy just needs a break. I think he needs a break from his career, and I could see him back here. I think there's a chance that he could come back here in the future.
Okay, so let's break that down. So number one, I agree with what you said. He just needs a break because he was going to take a year off from Dortmund. And I'm pretty sure he said several times when Liverpool came knocking, you go. Right? He wasn't ready to go, but he heard it. He was like, all right, I got to go. So now he has that chance. There's no other club, I think, in the world right now that could come to Jurgen and he'll be like, I have to go. I mean, do you? Except for maybe the German national team, but I honestly don't get the feeling he cares at all about that.
I think that is a higher probability than another club, different than a club he's already managed.
Right.
Like, for example, I could see him going back to Mainz and just enjoying life and like getting them back somewhere,
kicking
or
his feet up.
Dortmund or Liverpool or like the German national team, because the international manager positions aren't as demanding.
No, it's a retirement
You
job.
barely play.
Yeah.
You play like 20 games a season. I don't know what it is. Right? You got big tournaments every couple of years, whatever the case may be.
It's a political position too. Those teams are political. You look at who's selected for them. It's not the same as club football, right? You don't
Right.
have the same autonomy. I would say.
But I
Well,
think he would probably love to coach in a World Cup.
sure, of course he would,
Like that's pretty sweet. If you think about it, that's
If-
probably what I'd do.
dude.
Because
We got
Germany's always got a good squad.
if he accepts the Germany job, we have got to go when the World Cup comes here. We need to go see Jurgen.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah. What
my,
year is that? 26?
26.
Yeah,
Woo!
the World Cup final is going to be in Dallas, Texas.
That's badass.
hmm
Wow. Wait, where though?
Arlington, the Cowboys Stadium.
That's a turf field. Do they have a grass one?
Sure, they'll bring one out.
They better because there's no way they're playing the World Cup final on turf.
No, they can do whatever they
This
want. They
isn't
can change anything they want.
this isn't young boys.
No, they
Jesus.
can do anything they want, dude. They can change and bring and move, and they could
I
bring
know.
a grass field in there. What time is it? 8:37 a.m. They could have a full grass pitch in there, secured and ready to go in 2 hours.
Yeah, I do know that they can retract the field. I do know that, but it's just got to be real grass.
I'm sure they'll figure it out.
Look, I'm just concerned about the damn grass, okay? You got 4 years. No, you don't. Jesus. You have 2 years to figure it out. All right? Make sure it's not turf. I can't stand turf.
Well,
I'm
think
so
about the
anti-turf.
Super Bowl, where everyone was slipping, right? It ended up being not a great move, but they brought in brand new turf for that.
Well, no,
And
but
they
that's
only
the
had 2
problem.
weeks to do it.
Brand new turf. That's
Right.
what they did with Liverpool too. I'm not talking brand new turf. I'm just saying get some real grass.
Yeah, no, they'll figure
You know
it
what I
out.
mean?
Don't worry about that. That's the last thing you have to worry about
I
is
didn't
the
sleep last
playing
night worrying
surface,
about this,
Kyle.
dude.
The playing surface of a match that's taken place in 2.5 years. Guys, Kyle won't be able to sleep thinking about the freaking playing surface of the World Cup final. It's 4,000 miles away.
There's just so much data out there for the turf, and so many people still use artificial turf. People are getting injured like crazy.
I know, and all the schools do it now too because they don't have the
Yes,
budget to keep up with the grass.
I know.
It's a lot of work. One rain game, like one rain match for a high school or like a college can ruin the field for the whole year because they don't have a grounds crew. And I'm a big turf guy, you know that.
I know.
It's constant upkeep.
I know it is.
Constant upkeep.
I know it, but it's much easier when it's 6,000 square feet versus 100,000, whatever the hell the field is.
It's like probably a few acres. I don't know.
I don't know. It's nuts. Shout out. He only comes in when there's drama. Michael Ramsey. What are you saying today, man? We all want Stevie G.
He said you all want Stevie G. I don't want Stevie G. No way.
No. I did up until his Aston Villa tenure. And look, I love Stevie G. Don't get me wrong. But Stevie G, maybe down the line, he'll become a better manager, right? I think maybe he jumped to Aston Villa a little too quickly. I think there's a manager. There's different tiers of managers, guys, just like there's different tiers of players. Just because a manager does well at one club doesn't mean he's going to do well at the next club. Graham Potter's a great example. Steven Gerrard. Unai Emery. These are all great examples. You see managers naturally take the ladder. They'll go up to a really top club. They don't do well. They take a step back. They do really well. Brendan Rodgers, another good example. Didn't really do well at Liverpool. Did amazing at Celtic. Tried it out at Leicester. Didn't really do well at Leicester. Now he's back at Celtic. These are all examples. Steven Gerrard might just be that level manager where he can manage a club well, but the club has to be in a semi-competitive league. It can't be in the top 5 leagues. That just might be the kind of manager he is. And that's the risk you take with any manager, right? Chelsea doesn't give a shit.
Chelsea got rid of Tuchel. What was the worst decision they ever made?
Chelsea got rid of Sarr. Sorry. Is that
Yeah.
his name?
Yeah.
He I can't get over that. He did so well at that club.
Dude, I think Tuchel did very well at Chelsea.
Me too. Yeah,
They won the Champions League.
he won a Champions League.
Yeah.
How
That was a
long?
mistake.
It took us 35 minutes to bring up Chelsea. I love it. We're setting new records here.
I think the lineups are probably out now.
The
No?
lineup is out, and yep, I got you guys. Hold up. A few people have dropped it in the chat anyway. Oh, I got to turn off airplane mode. Oh, you remember The Grudge? The movie The Grudge?
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yes, I do. It was creepy.
You clearly seem annoyed by that, so.
No, I'm trying to figure out. I'm trying to figure out how many rounds there are in the FA Cup.
Too many.
I think it's 12.
Melissa Reddy, by the way, guys, said, quote, referring to Xabi Alonso, "I'd be staggered if it wasn't him." Now, the lineup, James Pearce. James Pearce fell off a cliff once he went to the Athletic. Allison, Gomez, Kanate, Nunez, Jones, Gakpo, Jota, Gravenberch, McConnell getting the start. Interesting. Kwanzaa and Bradley.
McConnell, is that the guy with the hair? The kid with the Who's
What?
McConnell?
So no, you might be thinking Bobby Clark looks like
That's who I was thinking of.
Bobby Clark looks like a young Harvey Elliott.
Yeah, that's who I wanted to see.
He's been playing pretty well. No, McConnell's a midfielder, but I haven't seen him. He might have made a couple appearances, but I really haven't watched him since preseason. But Van Dijk and Kelleher on the bench. Diaz, Soboslai, Elliott, Robertson's on the bench again. Clark, Beck. Oh, dude, that was what I wanted to talk to you about. We saw Owen Beck again. Do you remember a couple years ago, Owen Beck came in? I'm like, this kid's good?
No.
Oh, okay. Well,
I don't.
suck. Okay.
A lot of these kids, these younger kids, have names that are just so basic. Morton, Tyler, right? Like Bobby Clark. Who's the kid you just said?
Owen Beck.
Owen Beck. Like, give me a Dominic Soboslai.
That is a bad
Trent
name,
Alexander Arnold.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna forget him.
Virgil Van
Kostas
Dijk.
Simikas. Yeah.
Yeah,
By
no,
the
I
way,
feel
this
like
is a Virgil kit. First time wearing it. The skipper.
legendary.
You see.
Shout out.
Yeah, I love this purple kit. They're hard to find. They're sold out on the Liverpool site on Anfield Shop, which is the North American version of Liverpool's retail store.
I
But I
heard
was able to
rumors
find it.
that they're going out of business.
Yeah, somebody, I'm not gonna mention
Someone in
who, said it in our
Someone in the
Discord chat.
yeah. I haven't followed up on that, but
Which that doesn't really make much sense to me. I looked for news on it. I couldn't find anything. But why would they do that? It's an e-commerce operation. It's not a big expense.
well,
Maybe
and-
somebody else won the contract. Because it's probably contracted from Liverpool FC.
yeah, man, that would suck. That if they lost the licensing contract for the merchandise, who else would it go to though?
Who knows?
Well, the thing is that
Maybe something like Fanatics, which is where I got this.
I feel like that's honestly probably the smart decision because they have a bigger market. Like they have more people know Fanatics than this is Anfield, so that might be a smart move by the marketing team at Liverpool. But man, that sucks because it was a mom and pop operation. I remember when we started the channel, I reached out to them and talked to them a little bit about like advertising and sponsorships and like, hey, you're American based. And one, I just want to give a shout out to them. They sent me some free stuff. They were very helpful with all of the stuff that I bought from them previously. All my Liverpool stuff I usually bought from them. And but they said they're a mom and pop operation. They have like 6 employees or something. So I don't know. I don't know much more than that.
Who knows if they're even going out?
Yeah, that's just kind of like a guess. But yeah, the lineups are out. So it's funny. When I was reading the James Pearce tweet, he put it in a weird order. And I'm pretty sure this is the real James Pearce. Yeah, this is the real him. He put it in a weird order. So Allison, Gomez, Kanate, Nunez, Jones, Gakpo, Jota, Gravenberch, McConnell, Kwanzaa, Bradley. He just split the defense in the order. And where's the comment? Someone said McConnell, Kwanzaa, Bradley up front. Nice. Oh man, it's the little things for me. Speaking of players up front that don't deserve to be there, Sepp Vandenberg, player manager. What are your thoughts?
I mean, he's my top choice.
Yeah,
100%. Bring him in. Right wing. He can play right wing and he can manage at the same time.
he's gonna have to beat out Markovic for that spot, though.
It's tough. Markovic is really in great form.
He's the next Messi, is what
Yeah.
I'm hearing.
He's in
So.
great form.
Okay, so Liz says Fanatics already has the license agreement. Anfield Shop has exclusive deals. Okay.
Damn, Liz. How do you know that? That's pretty
Dude,
cool.
freaking love Liz, man.
Java here says, guys, Americans love basketball or baseball. They're not a big fan of football. How did you become interested? It's interesting. I actually, well, first of all, hello. But I would disagree with that. I think there's a lot of football fans in the
Tons.
United States, but
Tons.
it's because the sport isn't big here. People think that Americans don't necessarily support it. I just think that couldn't be farther from the truth. We don't really have quality football here. So I think that kind of drifts over into, oh, well, they don't like football. That's not necessarily the case. Our national team is pretty good, however, but the MLS is not good.
No,
It's not good.
It's tough to watch.
I will say it reminds me of the French league a bit. I'm not even joking at all.
That's a
I think
good.
the French league is abysmal.
It's bad.
I think there are some MLS teams that would beat French teams 100%, no doubt in my mind. But that's neither here nor there. But yeah, we
Java
have a
here,
lot
I
of
want.
sports over here that are basketball, baseball, American football. There's a lot to choose from here, and I think that's part of it as well. Like the NFL is in the United States, the NBA is in the United States. So when you determine what you're going to support and what sports you're going to follow, there's only so much time in the day. And I find myself running into that quite a bit. Liverpool is, of course, at the top of the list of mine with the New England Patriots, but because of that, there's only so much time. I don't follow basketball as much as I used to. I don't follow baseball hardly at all. So
I also agree with what Steve said. So there's only so much time in the day to watch your sports teams, right? So for me, I'm a big Knicks fan. Probably put Knicks at the top. Liverpool very close second. But I got to give Steven all the credit for getting me interested in Liverpool. And once I did, it was a wrap. I think it's especially the Premier League. Once you start following a team and you start, it's easily accessible now too, which is a big part. Like you can watch it every weekend, no issues, which was not the case a decade ago, Steve.
right.
So accessibility is a big point, right? That's why there's a big push for the TV deals here in the States. And there's an untapped market. And I feel like Americans get for some reason, a weird rap like, oh, you shouldn't. It's not like there's some people like you, Java, here who are very like, oh, that's awesome, right? Americans love it. But then there's a big demographic of people that are like, why do you like it? You shouldn't like it. This is our sport. It's like, dude, we're not sorry, you know?
Yeah.
I think it's so different from anything we have here, and that's why I love it so much. You know, it's American sports, they're playing music constantly throughout the game just to keep the noise up. You know, the fans might be chanting, but they're not singing, right? There's an atmosphere, but it's not even close to what you find in England. It's so different. That's why I love it so much. I think that passion trumps anything any sports team has here in the States. And that goes for basketball, baseball, football, whatever. So
We're
for
spread
me,
so thin
yeah,
as supporters. We're spread so thin across all of these different sports. Like, what else is big in Europe, I guess, like, or even like the
rugby,
UK, rugby,
and cricket.
I suppose cricket,
Yep.
tennis.
Tennis is huge. Yep. Golf maybe. But these
Yeah,
games,
sure.
but they're not it doesn't even compare.
A
Just
lot
not.
of the biggest tournaments, though, for those sports are in the United States.
Right.
So, again,
And
it's tough. It can be
eh,
tough.
yeah, and this isn't a United States versus England thing, right? I mean, you guys are
No,
all saying it. This game is for everyone. It is. And that's the beauty of it. And that's why we wanted to start this channel is the fact that, now that the market's growing in the US, everyone should hear from the US supporters, like what our view is on it, because it's much different. Just like someone in South America's view is different, just like someone who supports from Africa, Asia, Australia, whatever. It's all going to be different. And so that's the benefit of it. But I do find myself spreading myself thin, Steve, trying to keep up with all the Knicks, the Chiefs, and everything. I mean, Liverpool played today at 9:30. Then the Chiefs play at 3. The Knicks played last night. I'm always watching something.
it's crazy, man. It is a uh, it's very hard. It's very, very difficult
Tough.
to keep up with it all. Our eggs are in 5 or 6 baskets. I would imagine a lot of people that aren't in the United States, maybe their eggs are in one basket, or I would assume maybe
Yeah.
2. But shout out to Alexi who was in here earlier. Without him, this channel wouldn't exist.
Butterfly
I
effect.
remember you said that it's so easily accessible now. I remember him when we lived together in college, and he'd have his computer up and he'd be streaming. This is when like Gerard was still playing and like still pretty damn good, and
Yeah.
everybody was super young. Sterling, all those guys. They he would be streaming like shitty quality matches from weird websites,
VIP box, bro.
like games in small stadiums in weird cups,
Yeah.
just to be able to watch them. Um, but
That's
yeah,
the
now it's so
thrill of it.
accessible, so it's growing. And I also want to give a shout out to the men's national team that made England look awful in the World Cup. Dominated them.
Big up USA, man.
Yes, so it's growing here. But yeah, this isn't about England versus the U.S. It's the U.S., I guess, and how it compares to everybody else.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I I love talking about that from time to time just to kind of, think back to, because you're right, dude. When I first started, I was doing the same exact thing. I'd be in class streaming on my phone, right? Because when you're first as an American, you're used to watching games on the weekends or at night. Nothing's on during the day, right? You're not everything's catered around the 9 to 5 American schedule, right? Because everyone wants their money from advertising and commercials and stuff. But when you start following from a different country where there's a 5-hour difference, there's a thrill involved. Waking up at 7:30 to watch a game, streaming at 3 in the afternoon, all that stuff. It's just awesome.
it's
Now,
the best thing that ever happened
100%.
to
Best thing
me.
that ever happened. I mean, I love it absolutely so much. But the match today is against Norwich, 4th round in the FA Cup, and I read you the lineup, and kind of a mixed bag. Uh, I think with Allison going in goal, I kind of expected Kelleher to start, but that's okay. I think Kelleher's just got the League Cup locked now. Allison, and then I wouldn't say a weak lineup, but definitely a rotated lineup. We got Nunez. We got it actually pretty strong. So you got Jones, Gravenberch, Nunez, Diaz, Gakpo, and Jota, actually. So
It's strong.
that is pretty strong. I'm trying to think, though, who the hell is our midfield?
Gakpo,
No, because look, McConnell,
McConnell,
Jones,
Jones, and Gravenberg.
but then that means that Gakpo, Jota, and Nunez are up front.
Well, yeah,
Okay. You just said Gakpo was in the midfield. I'm just trying to
I
figure
forgot
out.
about McConnell.
Yeah. Jesus.
I also want to give a shout out to Robbo, Soboslai, and Trent that are all back.
Let's
And
go.
Tiago's close,
Dude.
barring any setbacks. Fingers
Dude,
crossed. Knock on wood for us, Liz.
Jesus. When did Tiago last play? It doesn't even matter. Doesn't even matter. Dude had hip surgery. Supreme Architects predicting a 6-1. Michael Ramsey says, "You're talking rubbish. It was accessible 10 years ago. I'm from Jamaica."
So
It
actually,
was.
let me. It wasn't fully accessible
It
because they would show matches here and there, like one per day, maybe Saturday, one Sunday. But if you didn't have the marquee matchup, if it wasn't Liverpool United, you wouldn't be able to see Liverpool on TV play Stoke City on
right.
like a Sunday morning. But now, because NBC has bought the rights to it in entirety, we have to stream certain matches on Peacock, which is like Netflix for NBC.
Right.
So it wasn't accessible.
And before that, it was NBC Sports. And if your match wasn't on NBC Sports or NBC, you did have to stream it. Like before I started the channel, back in like 2017, 18, I was still streaming illegally.
Oh yeah.
You know, I mean,
oh yeah, just praying that I could click through the 20 ads just to
exactly. Yeah, and so and it's different in every country, but I mean, I didn't have easy access to it. But I want to give Alexi a shout out as well. Alexi definitely, one, got you into it, but two, just supporting the channel all the time. Shout out to you guys. Keep up the great work, and excited to see where this channel goes in 2024, especially with all the changes at our club. Absolutely, it's a big time for Liverpool Football Club. And this channel specifically, we just got to 11K. Shout out to you guys. Obviously couldn't have done it without you guys. Alexi
Michael Ramsey says Americans ruining football.
How so?
Put down the whiskey. It's early. It's too early for that.
Yeah, especially in Jamaica. It's 8:57.
Oh, he's from Jamaica. I don't know if he lives there.
Oh, true.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
But maybe he's drinking.
Maybe. You never know. Island time.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Yeah, that's touche. Oyvind says, I just pirate it. Okay. Supreme says, blame Trump. Liz Golden might be a new Liverpool boss. Pick us up, man.
Yeah, let's do it.
You know, never know. Steve, any thoughts on the lineup and any predictions that you have, man? Going up against Norwich City, Ida. Is it Jonathan Ida is the only person I know who's still... Oh, what was that dude with the blonde hair?
Cantwell.
Does he still play there?
I have no idea. This should be an absolute thrashing.
It should be. Okay.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah. What an idiot. So what are your predictions?
5-0. I think Alexi said the same thing. I'm going to go 5-0.
Alexi said 5-0. Supreme Architect said 6-1. Damn. Crazy, guys. I'm going to be doing a watch along here. I'll go live in about 20 minutes or so. Make sure you guys tune into that. Steve, do you have any closing thoughts about Klopp or otherwise? I just will obviously bring it up every show for the most part. I think it ultimately comes down to the fact that he made the right decision for himself and his family, and also the club. People don't think it's the right decision for the club, but I think people do realize now that he is burnt out. Burnout is a real thing, and some people handle it better than others. And I also think sometimes as a man, your pride can get in the way a little bit. You know, some lesser man might have tried to push through and sacrifice the success or quality of the job he's doing just to see out his contract, right? And I think Klopp's making the right decision. And I think the timing of it is good because it gives everyone time, his backroom staff, players, club, fans included, the time to figure out what's next and accept the decision.
I would just urge everyone, and I think this goes without saying, to just try to enjoy the time we have left, you know? And you heard it here first, Kyle. I would not be surprised if he came back. We're gonna save this clip because he could be back.
I don't see that happening,
dude. The man needs a break. Why not? Why not?
It's not a matter of why not. Would I love to have him back? Sure. It's just not how things work. I know Liverpool have done it before, but I don't see Klopp doing that. I just don't see it. Especially because, like you said, he'll take a year off and then he'll be Germany manager. That's the only logical next step for him, I feel like.
Yeah.
That's what I think, guys. And of course, you guys can watch the stream back with all the chats and everything as soon as the stream's over. I was watching it the other day, though, and I think it does take maybe 15 or 20 minutes for the live chat replay to like reset.
Yeah,
so if you guys want, what's that?
I noticed that too.
Yeah, so if you take a little bit of time, but definitely appreciate all your support, guys. This channel, I was telling Steve before the show, this channel is roughly 60% fan funded. In other words, you guys who support the channel with channel memberships, keep the channel going. And we really appreciate that because we couldn't do it without you guys. There's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that people don't think about that are expenses, streaming software, thumbnail software, everything. So appreciate you guys very much. Steve, thanks for being here, bro. Join us for the watch along, guys, in about 20 minutes time as Liverpool take on Norwich in the FA Cup 4th round. And until next week, Reds, take care.